Warning: the content on this channel often covers topics that are considered eerie or scary and can be triggering to some individuals. Viewer discretion is advised.
The history of witch hunts stretches back centuries before Salem, and much of it begins in Europe. The late medieval period was a time of tremendous upheaval. War, famine, and disease spread rapidly. Communities overwhelmed by chaos sought answers, and as fear and desperation grew, many found their scapegoat: witches. Witchcraft, as we think of it today, wasn't always seen as the evil force it would eventually become. In many pre-Christian cultures, individuals known as witches were often seen as healers or wise women, using natural remedies and folklore to aid their communities. But with the rise of Christianity in Europe, things changed. The Church began associating these practices with heresy, and by the late 1400s, witches became synonymous with evil, often blamed for everything from crop failures to outbreaks of plague. The publication of the Malleus Maleficarum in 1487 marked a dark turning point. This book, meaning the Hammer of Witches, claimed to be a guide for identifying, prosecuting, and executing witches. It became widely circulated, leading to a wave of paranoia and witch hunts across Europe. Places like Germany, France, and Scotland became epicenters of witch trials. In Germany alone, tens of thousands of people were accused and executed. Some of the most notorious trials, like the Trier and Bamberg trials, saw entire villages decimated by fear and suspicion. The hysteria spread like wildfire, driven by superstition and the fear of the supernatural. Anyone old women, the poor foreigners, could be accused of witchcraft, especially if they didn't conform to societal norms. And once accused, their fate was often sealed. But perhaps no witch hunt is more infamous than that of Salem, Massachusetts in 1692. The Puritans who settled there had a rigid religious worldview. In their minds, the devil was a constant lurking threat. This fear, combined with political instability, poor harvests, and disease, created a perfect storm for what would become one of the most tragic chapters in American history. It all began in the home of Reverend Samuel Parris, where his daughter Betty and niece Abigail began exhibiting strange, uncontrollable fits. Soon, other girls in Salem began showing similar symptoms. The town, unable to explain the strange behavior, turned to the supernatural for answers. Accusations flew. Tituba, an enslaved woman in the Parris household, was among the first accused of witchcraft. Under pressure, she confessed, perhaps to save herself from certain death, claiming that the devil had come to Salem and that others in the town had made a pact with him. Once the first accusations were made, there was no stopping the hysteria. Neighbors accused neighbors. Old grievances were settled with claims of witchcraft. The trials that followed were a grotesque miscarriage of justice. People were convicted based on spectral evidence, claims that the ghostly form of a person attacked another with no physical proof needed. Over 200 people were accused and 20 were executed, including notable figures like John Proctor and Rebecca Nurse. These individuals went to their deaths maintaining their innocence, but the fear and frenzy were too great to overcome. By the time the hysteria subsided in early 1693, the damage had already been done. The Salem witch trials remain a stark reminder of what can happen when fear overrides reason. Why did people fear witches so intensely? At the heart of these trials lies a deeper psychological truth: fear of the unknown. In times of crisis, human beings tend to seek control. But when the natural world or the supernatural seems to spiral beyond control, the mind turns to superstition and scapegoats. The fear of witches taps into this ancient anxiety. The otherness of witches, those who didn't conform to religious, social, or gender norms, made them perfect targets. Add in mob mentality, and you have a recipe for disaster. In Salem, this led to one of the deadliest cases of mass hysteria in American history. But what about those who embrace witchcraft? In many cases, modern practitioners known as Wiccans or witches use it as a form of empowerment. For some, it's a way to reclaim the label that was once used to oppress them. Others find spiritual meaning, connection to nature, and personal power through the practice of modern witchcraft. It's important to remember that what once instilled fear is now embraced by many as a symbol of individuality, rebellion, and personal growth. While Salem may be the most well-known, witch hunts were a global phenomenon. Take the Torsacre witch trials in Sweden, where in 1675, 71 people were executed in a single trial. Or the Fulda witch trials in Germany, where over 200 people met a similar fate. And witch hunts aren't a thing of the past. In parts of Africa, Asia, and rural regions around the world, witchcraft accusations still lead to violence, torture, and even executions. These modern witch hunts, often driven by local superstitions, show that fear of the unknown remains a powerful force today. The legacy of witch hunts has carried into the present day in surprising ways. While we may no longer burn witches at the stake, we still see echoes of these dark times. Look no further than McCarthyism in the 1950s, where fear of communism led to a modern-day witch hunt that ruined countless lives. Even today, in the era of social media, accusations can spiral into public trials, where reputations are destroyed without evidence or due process. The term witch hunt is used often to describe unjust persecution. It seems that while we've moved beyond the literal witch trials, the hysteria and paranoia they represent remain with us. What is it about witch hunts that continues to captivate us? Perhaps it's the stark reminder of how quickly fear can corrupt justice. Or maybe it's the way these trials reveal the fragility of society, where power is often maintained by turning fear into a weapon. Today, the label witch has shifted from a symbol of fear to one of resistance and empowerment. But the lessons of the past are clear. When fear is allowed to drive judgment, the consequences can be catastrophic. As we move forward, it's crucial to remember how easily fear can turn into hysteria and how history can repeat itself if we're not careful. The witch trials of the past may seem distant, but their haunting legacies continue to shape our world today. Whether through modern-day witch hunts or the reclamation of the term witch, these events serve as a powerful reminder of the dangers of fear, hysteria, and persecution. What do you think? How do the witch hunts of the past reflect on our society today? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're as fascinated by history's darker moments as we are, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time on Darker Things. And as always, we leave you with this reminder that once you enter the dark, you may never be the same.
In the dark of the night, whispers start to rise. Fingers point to the sky, looking for a sacrifice. In the towns and the streets, the rumors start to grow. What you don't understand, you call it evil, you call it cold. And the witches, they cry, but no one wants to hear. Fear's a powerful thing, and it feeds on all your tears. Like the flame, watch it burn. They say it's God's command, but it's fear in disguise, holding matches in your hand. Fear and fire, the flames are rising higher. Innocence is caught in the smoke of desire. Hysteria's a game that everybody's playing, but truth gets lost in the words they're saying. Fear and fire burn the heart of the liar. History repeats like a broken choir. From Salem to the stars, we'll carry the scars. Fear and fire is who we are. In the courts, in the towns, names are written down.
Spectral evidence, yeah, they'll take you down.
Accusations fly with no truth inside.
No proof, just lies wrapped up in pious pride.
And the witches, they fall as the crowd stands tall. But who's the real monster behind the wall? Is it power or control, or just fear of the unknown?
They'll burn your soul, believe your bones.
Fear and fire, the flames are rising higher. Innocence is caught in the smoke of desire. Hysteria's a game that everybody's playing, but truth gets lost in the words they're saying. Fear and fire burn the heart of the liar. History repeats like a broken choir. From Salem to the stars, we'll carry the scars. Fear and fire is who we are.
What makes you afraid of the ones who don't fit?
Is it the power they carry, or just fear of it? The witches rise, the flames will die, but their spirit lives on no matter how you try.
Now the modern world still lights the pyre. We cancel and accuse with the digital fire. But history's clear, it's fear that's the sin. We burn the witch, but the truth's buried within.
Fear and fire, the flames are rising higher. Innocence is caught in the smoke of desire. Hysteria's a game that everybody's playing. The truth gets lost in the words they're saying. Fear and fire burn the heart of the liar. History repeats like a broken choir. From Salem to the stars, we'll carry the scars. Fear and fire is who we are. Fear and fire, oh, we'll carry the scars. Fear and fire is who we are.